Welcome to the chaos sector. We return to the Matrix. Why? Why do they keep doing it? It's only becoming more and more unrealistic. Sure, you can fool some of the time, but you can't fool everyone all the time. And because you will never fool everyone all the time, there will always be resistance. What's the chaos blabbering about this time, you ask? Cohen Wiley, a 1-year-old toddler, was reported to have been killed by police officers June 14th. Wow, such a tragic story, right? Well, there's always something off in these stories, and surely there's something off with this one as well. Let's find out, shall we?
Quote, the mother of a 1-year-old, Cohen Wiley, said a police officer fatally shot her son in the rib cage during a confrontation outside a Walmart in Mississippi on Sunday. The Mississippi Bureau of Investigation, which is investigating the shooting, said officers were responding to a shoplifting call in Senatobia when they encountered 2 subjects and a juvenile child fleeing from the store into a vehicle. The Bureau added that as police tried to stop the vehicle, the driver drove toward them and almost hit an officer. An officer then shot at the vehicle before the driver drove away. Valencia Wiley, Cohen's mother, said in a video posted on social media on Wednesday that she was leaving the Walmart with her son when her friend was stopped by police. I kept walking because it had nothing to do with me, she said, unquote. Now, let's listen to her accounts of what occurred in that post on Twitter.
Quote, it was me, my son, and a friend of mine, and we was at Walmart. As we was leaving out the Walmart, the cops tried to stop her. I kept walking because it had nothing to do with me. By the time me and my baby got back to the car, she came, and then when we was backing up, they was running after the car. I raised my baby up because they had their weapons drawn. She had no tint. I raised my baby up to show them that he was in the car. She was backing up and she hit another car as I was opening the door. The door flew back in. By the time I sat my baby back down, there was like 3 to 4 shots. 1 shot hit my baby in his rib cage, and the other shots hit my friend in her arm and her thigh, and we drove to the Senatobia hospital. Unquote. Now, based on this, the so-called friend committed several crimes: fleeing from the authorities, child endangerment, shoplifting, and attempted vehicular manslaughter as well. But let the mainstream media tell it, the officers just walked up to the vehicle and shot a toddler. All she had to do was take the penalty for shoplifting out of Walmart. But no, being defiant led to not only her getting shot several times, but it also led to the death of her friend's toddler.
Now, if you listened closely, she stated that the authorities approached her friend. Valencia continued to walk back to the vehicle with her son, get to the vehicle. We assume she and her son got into the vehicle, and the friend apparently also got into the vehicle. Now, does this sound like what actually happened? If the authorities attempt to stop you regarding being a potential shoplifter, do you continue to your vehicle? Well, if you were a shoplifter and do not want to be arrested, so of course you ignore the authorities, head back to the vehicle, put the vehicle in reverse, the authorities attempt to prevent you from driving off, you drive towards the authorities using the vehicle as a weapon, and the authorities shoot to prevent you from running them over. Many would say there was a toddler in the vehicle and the authorities should have been more aware of the circumstances, but in this scenario, does the officer just allow the driver to run them over or hit them? Furthermore, Valencia stated she held her child up to the authorities, indicating she wanted them to know there was a toddler inside. But they would know there was a toddler inside because you were walking back to the vehicle with that toddler, right? She is painting a scenario where they were already in the vehicle when the authorities arrived and approached with their guns drawn. But that's not what she stated in her interview, you see. She stated they were leaving Walmart and authorities approached them regarding a call about shoplifters. Valencia stated that she continued to walk to the vehicle as her friend was being questioned by the authorities. She mentioned that it had nothing to do with her, so she didn't concern herself with it. So we can see the deception in her accounts, which mean more than likely she didn't raise the toddler up to convince the officer to not shoot. Her friend created the danger, which led to the officers drawing their weapons. This came with ignoring the officer's commands, getting back into the vehicle, and then using that vehicle as a weapon against those officers. In these cases, there's always some wacky crap that creates an oddity. But even with this, those individuals put not only their lives in danger, but more importantly, that toddler. They did go to that Walmart to shoplift, rushed out of the store once they were caught red-handed. The authorities arrived to question them or even arrest them. Valencia tried to throw her friend under the bus by leaving her behind, yet the friend decided to put everyone in danger by resisting arrest, getting into the vehicle, and then use that vehicle as a weapon to run the officer over. Did the so-called friend care that a toddler was in the vehicle? Nope. She put that child in danger. Even if the toddler wasn't shot, what it led to a police chase where they got into a car crash and the toddler was killed in that scenario. In all of these racially motivated stories which involve black victims and white people, the black people are never innocent.
And of course, it was in Mississippi, the Deep South, where the so-called racism had its roots. Valencia stated that she went back to the vehicle with her toddler, right? But did you notice she didn't explain the scenario in which the friend had interacted with authorities? She stated the friend had gone back to the vehicle. Now, at this point, which she intentionally left out of her accounts, the authorities are trying to question that friend about shoplifting. Since Valencia stated the friend came back to the vehicle, then she had to defy the commands of law enforcement, which more than likely leads to resisting arrest. And once it reaches that point, there is likely a physical altercation following. The so-called friend decides to get back into the vehicle, putting it in reverse, while officers are telling her to get out of the vehicle. She then turns in their direction and proceeds to attempt to run them over. This was just another psychological operation rooted in so-called racism. They just can't help themselves. It's like some sort of fucking obsession, right?
They are obsessed with it. Nobody talks about how the woman defied the commands of law enforcement, gets back into the vehicle, puts it in reverse trying to flee, hits another car. Yes, Valencia admitted it. So she is fleeing the scene of a crime, that being shoplifting, creating danger for herself and everyone inside the vehicle, including a toddler, and then attempts to run the officers over with the vehicle. Now, if this was reported, would this be considered a racial incident? No. Well, they'd find a way to make it racial. But the facts of the matter here is that shoplifting at Walmart led to authorities being called. They arrive, the group leaves the store, and are confronted by authorities. How about just accepting the consequences of shoplifting? It's tragic that a baby was killed, but who was responsible for that? Valencia claimed she raised the baby up as they drew their weapons. When did she do that? Because the time frame appears to be very erratic, as the so-called friend was attempting to flee, putting the vehicle in reverse, hitting another vehicle, and then attempted to hit the officers as she fled. She wouldn't have time to show officers there was a baby in the car. She's concerned about the real-time danger of the moment. And in that scenario, raising the baby up could be seen as a sacrifice to the officers. The psyops always end up being too ridiculous for reality.
And of course, race hustlers like Ben Crump always take the opportunity to benefit. Doesn't it seem like you only hear from these individuals when there is a racially motivated story? Of course. Family and friends spoke out, including the great-grandmother, and they all basically concede that the group did shoplift at Walmart. Their claim would basically be, okay, they stole merchandise out of a store. Do they deserve to be shot for that? Does a baby deserve to be shot and killed over items that can be replaced? My grandson is gone now, all because law enforcement can't control their emotions. Yeah, it sounds logical in that context, but then we have the real context according to the mother of that baby. Her so-called friend created a life-threatening setting for everyone involved, including the officers, all because she didn't want to be arrested for those very items that can be replaced. Officers are telling her to stop, freeze, all commands from law enforcement, by the way. She ignores it, rushes back to her vehicle, reverses it, hits another vehicle. Yes, Valencia is the source of this information, which creates danger for her and her baby, proceeds to drive in the direction of the officers, attempting to run them over. They shoot at the vehicle in defense, and it led to a toddler being killed and the woman being shot as well. I wonder if Valencia still considers her a friend, right? Because it's her fault your son is no longer here. In the Matrix, of course, because the child is still alive somewhere, it was all to provoke the race war. That will never happen. They're trying, but it's too obvious. Think about it. With all of these so-called racially motivated killings of black victims, wouldn't the black community just flip out and take matters into their own hands? You reach a brick wall because of the narrative doesn't align with reality. Both sides are involved, by the way. You have the crisis actors and you have the cops who are also actors. The victim and the victimizer. That script has been played over and over again. Time to find a new script.
Quote, a 29-year-old Ohio mother is headed to prison for binding the hands of her 2 young children and shoving each of them down a flight of stairs, later telling authorities she considered it, quote, normal discipline. Daisha Phillips was sentenced to 2 years in prison Monday after she pleaded guilty to 2 counts of child abuse. Hamilton County Common Pleas Judge Patrick Dinkelacker said he considered imposing a stiffer sentence, but ultimately said he would honor the agreement between prosecutors and defense attorneys, according to a courtroom report from the Cincinnati Enquirer. Unquote. Now, this is a black woman who shoved her children down the stairs. Where is the national outrage? What if those children died from this? It wouldn't make national headlines because there is no racial component to it. Don't fall asleep, though. This is just another psyop, but we like to expose the inconsistencies within the stories. Like her saying she thought that was, quote, normal discipline. Now, within the psyop, this is an attempt to play ignorant, playing on the element of being unaware of the danger she put her children in. Yet anyone with half a brain would know she knew that wasn't normal discipline. As for one, you shouldn't be tying your children hands up with ropes, and you definitely shouldn't shove them down the stairs. The judge should have sentenced her to 5 years minimum. Think about it. In 2 years, she'll be back out in the free world. But of course, none of this actually happened. She'll relocate to another city or state with her children and blend into society like nothing happened. That's what happens in these stories. Sell out for money, fake tragedies are pushed in the mainstream media for mind control, and then they relocate within the country somewhere. It's a 24/7 news cycle of fuckery.
Yep. You know we've kept an eye on our audience engagement, and, well, it looks like things are back to normal for the chaos sector. Expose the truth, inform the public, help individuals see the illusion, and nobody cares. We've also kept an eye on the true crime community regarding the Idaho 4 as well, and what do you think we found? Individuals still trying to put pieces together, and it's been almost 4 years now. I mean, at some point you have to let it go. Shout out to Viviana, because to be honest, she's doing a good job of calling out individuals who are peddling nonsense. The reason those individuals can't move on, can't accept the evidence, as we thoroughly broke down in the tail end of our investigation, is because they used that case for financial gain, and Viviana is bashed because she's honest enough to call the bullshit out and fact-check the lies put out there. You want to talk about true crime? How about the crimes the government commit on a daily basis? How about the crimes the world leads commit on a daily basis? We expose everything and anyone. There is no exemption.
This is the chaos sector. We will return.